Yo. So I just had something interesting happen a few moments ago. I was, on YouTube and on my other account that I use to actually watch videos instead of this is my, account that I use to post videos. And so in my recommended feed, uh, Tyrone Magnus popped up. I'm subscribed to him on my other thing, and I saw this one and I was like, all right, interesting. Like, I just wanted to see what this was about.
What is happening, man? So, Cash Patel apparently just put the deep state on notice. This was sent to me. I was told to start around this mark here. So, let's get it going here. He's just sworn in.
I promise you the following. There will be accountability within the FBI and outside of the FBI. And we will do it through rigorous constitutional oversight starting this weekend.
Okay. Starting this weekend. Today, Friday. Tomorrow, Saturday. Weekend.
This is great. We all used to live in the same freaking house. Yeah, I don't have any prepared remarks. I wish I could go around the room and, tell the story about how each and every one of you have magically touched my life to put me in this position. What a roller coaster ride it has been. I do know this.
Sure.
We are in this room together because you guys have a love of country that is truly inspirational, and it bleeds out everywhere we go. And if you look around this room, you see civil servants, you see warriors.
Long story short, it's Kash Patel's, like, I guess, speech after he's been confirmed as the FBI director. Interestingly enough, remember I made a video about reporting someone to the FBI who stole, from me, over $100,000 worth of cryptocurrency. It's actually come out more recently, or I mean, like, after doing more digging and talking to more people, that this person has probably stole. Jason Coppola probably stole over $1 million, possibly multiple millions of dollars, through his rug pull on opacity. But that's not what this is exactly about, though I haven't heard anything back from the FBI about this, where it's like this person has stolen multiple millions. But I do think, or at least for me, over 100,000 in crypto. But I do think that, crypto is not going to be as much regulated when here in America, when Donald Trump is putting out a meme coin himself. Like, it just doesn't seem intelligent because, if something happens with that, it might blow back on him, so he wouldn't want to deal with the consequences of that or whatever. But in any instance, hmm. So I just find it interesting and, like, just taking some screenshots here. About like, so I was sitting here and I watched it and I watched through the whole thing, and I was looking at this girl next to him and I'm like, who is this girl? Like, why does she look like familiar or something? Like, there's something about her. Like, she's attractive, but, like, my thought is, like, why does she look familiar? You know what I mean? But I couldn't quite place it, right? And so, I'm sitting here,
States of America, where that is,
and he's talking about it, and she's standing next to him the whole time. And I was like, well, she could be someone nominated with him, or she could be his wife, I guess. She looks pretty young to be his wife, but or something. I don't know. She could be like some kind of aide or something. Um, but I was just like, I go up here, like, I go to look and I type in Cash Patel, and it's carrying over from my search on my computer. But, like, one of the top results here, hold on. Cash, but like the top. Well, it's already showing this as a result. But when I hadn't looked, Cash Patel girlfriend was one of the top things. So I was like, maybe it's his girlfriend. So I click it, and wouldn't you know, who is Cash Patel's girlfriend? Alexis Wilkins. And I was just like, don't tell me. I promise you, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, is this another one of these girls that like she looks familiar? And I'm just like at this point with after Anja Ambrosio is likely my daughter, and Noah Ambrosio is likely my son, and it looks like I have kids that like I don't even know how they've gotten all this genetic material. Like, I don't know how much it takes to like create a person from if they take something from you, if they only need a drop or something, so they can make a bunch of people from one thing. I don't know how this works, and so I'm just like, but I'm looking at her, and like even before I know her name is Alexis Wilkins, I'm like, why does she look like her jawline is kind of like familiar? So I'm just like looking at her like, huh. But when I click it and I see that who is Cash Patel's girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins, and I'm looking around, and so she's a country singer, and so I click her Instagram here, and like sure enough, this is in fact like when you go through here, this is in fact her. So and here she is. And I'm like, all right, well, her nose looks kind of familiar. Her jawline looks kind of familiar. I don't think a cleft chin, like, I don't have a cleft chin, but my dad and my mom's dad and my dad's dad all have cleft chins, and maybe my grandma, but I don't know. I'm in any instance. So I'm like, all right, well, let me kind of like look at some other pictures. Here she's wearing a cross. Uh, but so I look at this one and I'm like, it, you know, like it's hard to tell, but like, she's attractive. So, but her nose is kind of like, it doesn't look completely unfamiliar. Her, some of her features don't look completely unfamiliar, like are relatively similar. Like her eyebrows, I think she does. It's like she trims her eyebrows, but she looks like she has thick eyebrows. And I'm just like, I'm going down, and it's like, yeah, well, this is her. And I'm just like looking. Additionally, I'm trying to remember. Now that I look at this nose like this, it's like, who did I see recently with a nose like this? Well, I'll have to come back to that one. But I just thought it was so like, I'm like, what is like, you know what I mean? Is this, I've already talked about, I think Donald Trump is the beast, but that didn't like, or the final head of the seven-headed beast thing, right? Um, and that would clearly be the case if the government here in America has been like breeding me, or some group of people has been breeding me, and it's being allowed by the government to like disempower me because otherwise they wouldn't have power or something like that, or they wouldn't have power lawfully because if it broke publicly, like on the news or something. I don't know. People might know it publicly, but if it was on the news that people were doing this to me, it might be like, I think that would be the end of whatever. Anything that had oversight over that would be done. You know what I mean? And but I'm like looking, and I'm like, well, I can't see. I don't know. I haven't seen like the under part of her nose. Hmm. All right. Anyway, additionally, I don't know who her mom would be, but like, I'm just like, and also, so I'm like, she's 26, so that means I would have to have been extremely young. Well, they're saying she's 26, right? But I don't know if I trust the things that I see when people say someone's age. I don't know if I can trust it. So it might say 26, but she could actually be, I don't know, 20, or she could actually be, I don't know, 18, 19, 20. You know what I mean? Like I don't completely trust when I see a number on anything anymore, because it's like, well, if you've gone through all the trouble to do some evil shit like this to me, it wouldn't be that hard to put up like fake web pages and a fake internet or some bullshit like that. So, forgive my being paranoid, but the whole Alessandra Ambrosio's kids, like, I believe they're mine. I think I I can break down all the features that I think I share, like on facially and just body type, with both Anja and Noah Ambrosio, and it's a pretty large list of features. Having a what is this, EDFCP, or wait, EDFPC? Yeah, this kind of facial recognition matching thing come up with such a high. I didn't even get it from this company. So now I learned this last night, that it's not just one company that does these types of facial recognition things. But anyway, so I thought that was kind of weird, and I was like, well, let me look up uh, her birthday. It popped up with that. So I click it here, and I'm like, even more, it kind of like, I just feel like her chin and facial structure are not completely dissimilar. But it says 1999, so I would have been 8. And let's see, November 3rd. I would have been like 7 or 8, so I don't know if that's. I don't think, I think men don't start producing sperm until they're, at least from my understanding, until they're um, about 12. But I think, in certain cases it could be like, hold on, 10 to 12, right? Usually 10 to 12. So let's go with the lower part of that. Let's say 10, right? This even says median age of 13, but this range it has on this thing was 11 to 15. But I'm also like, how did you get these? How do you even, you know what I mean? This is a test thing from 1986, a study, but how do you even get this information? You know what I mean? Like, how do you study this? But so let's go with the lower range here of 10. It would have to be like 2001, for and then so I guess 2002. But maybe, I don't know. And I've also said, like, there can be like advanced technology that people have that is like, what was I trying to say, or what am I trying to say, that is, like, at a certain point, if you went back with certain technology we have today, people would call it magic. And like, I don't, or like divine power. And I don't doubt that there could already be a singularity where some Satan figure has stolen off powerful technology, maybe that is already directly connected to me, and part of this is me having to get it back. But in any instance, like, part of the biblical narrative and the whole Revelation 7 Churches of Asia thing is like me overcoming this situation and like getting that power and that technology back, and then Yahweh making it up to me or something, or Jesus making it up to me. But okay, so I'm looking at her. I'm like, well, it's like, I don't see like features that are ruling me out, and I don't see, what I mean. Like, she looks like there's just something about her that looks familiar. You know what I mean? Like, like, it's the same feeling I had with, with certain other people. Like, literally, I feel like maybe with, now I guess it's even more common, actually, now that I think about it. But like, with the Ambrosio kids before I was like, these are like, I'm pretty sure, but it's a similar type of thing. And I had it before I knew her name was Alexis Wilkins. Though I feel like if you're gonna do this, it would probably be wiser to not name the person with my last name. But like anyway, just like looking at her nose and face, I'm like, oh, I mean, it doesn't look so dissimilar. Um, and again, I don't know who her mother is, but so I clicked last name Wilkins thing, and I was like, well, who else would be in here? And like, this is about as far. There's only a few people here, but this is someone who Kaelyn Wilkins here. Like, so I clicked through a number of these, and I don't know. I don't, um, I'm not as sure about anybody else. Like, I didn't get that same feeling, though. I guess I didn't click Christian Wilkins here. I would have had to have been 4, but my dad, I guess, could have another kid. I don't, what, like in any instance. So I'm just going through the thing, and so I see this girl, Kaylin Wilkins, and I'm like, oh, I've seen her before on YouTube, and I've actually watched some of her videos before on YouTube. Why is it always the simplest looking web pages that take up like some absurd amount of RAM? Like, this is literally a 2.5 GB web page, and it's like text and a picture and some ads. It's always the just like some texts and a picture and some ads is like always the most resource intensive websites. I have a 13900K and 64 GB of RAM. I don't know how this is slowing my computer down, but I mean, I guess I do, because it's like, for whatever reason, it's really heavy of a page. But okay, so this girl was born in 2000. I'm like, well, that's kind of closer. And then I'm like, oh, she's born in Houston. I remember reading that before, because I had looked this up. I had looked her up when I first saw her. But I wasn't in this mode of like, hey, I might have kids out there. I wouldn't like thinking like that. That's again also why the Alessandro Ambrosio thing, it's mentally stressful, because I can't trust that I don't just have a bunch of kids out there that I don't know about. You know what I mean? Who aren't already like almost adults or almost adults. You know what I mean? Like, if she's born in 2000, she's 24 now. But okay, so like I was like, well, let me like look. Like, I'm gonna actually close out this webpage, because it's seriously like, and this Yahoo webpage is also a gigabyte. You know what I mean? Like, look at these pages. Like, these Instagram pages are literally like 300 megabytes. This YouTube video, like 4K live streams from across the planet, is only a gigabyte. You know what I mean? Like, how is a web page where it's just like text, like, multiple gigabytes? But okay. Oh shit. Hold on. So, moving on from Alexis Wilkins, like, okay, well, I, I mean, is she my daughter? I mean, like, again, I'm not even like, it's just the Anja Ambrosio, no Ambrosio thing is really kind of like, do I have secret daughters? Do I have secret sons? Do I have secret children? I mean, I think I do, and I don't even think it's that secret. But so I'm like looking at Kaylin Wilkins here, and I'm like, why is it again that I'm getting this feeling? Like, I've seen her ASMR before, and I've actually watched on my other page. Like, I watched some of her ASMR. I think I watched this one. I watched this one, and I want to click it because like, this is her mom, according to this page. You know what I mean? But I'm like,
I'm so sorry. What did she say? Tappy Pappy?
like, they do look similar. They have similar noses. So I don't know. But I just thought it was like, uh, like, part of the reason when I'm looking at this is I'm like, okay, well maybe, um, like I still get this whole feeling of familiarity when I'm looking at and notice the word family and familiar. So I'm like looking at Kaelyn Wilkins here, and I'm pretty sure this is in Houston. I could be wrong. The House of Wilton, but these little libraries are all around Houston. Um, like we have several in our neighborhood, and something I've seen this spiral before. Um, and like so, something was like I just get like a familiar vibe from her, and I don't know like if her mom isn't this woman, and this is like, and this is something I've said about some of the other girls that are in these videos. Like, I mean, not in these videos. Some of the other people I've speculated might be my kids or something. Um, like with Dylan and Liam Ambrosio, it's the idea of getting and Align Ambrosio, it's that the guy that they paired with Align to like as her Ed DeBoni or whatever, or the same idea with Alessandra Ambrosio and Jamie Mazur, is that Jamie Mazur has certain features that may look like mine, or even may look like Alessandra's to some degree. So it's like, they're using people that make it like mentally confusing to figure out if these kids are mine or not. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know, something. I don't think it's like a mental thing that's driving my. Like, I don't think it was like exactly something mental that like woke me up to what was going on with Anja and Noah Ambrosio, because I still think that there's something going on with that where they're like my kids. Um, but again, I'm not 100%. I think it's high probability, and the facial recognition software seems to agree, and they have a technician that looks over it too, and the technician seemed to agree. But so I'm like looking at this girl, and I'm like, all right, well, like her jaw kind of reminds me of mine, and like her, her skin like kind of reminds me of mine, and like certain like maybe her eye color, and like I don't know, just some of her features feel familiar to me. And so I'm going through these pictures, and then I get to this, and I'm like, okay, well maybe there's a hint in this picture, right, as to what's going on, like here. But so I'm like going through, and I'm like, how it says Lucy's, and so is this someone actually named Lucy's daughter, or something like that, or Lucilda or something? But I don't know. So I'm just like, when I think about that, it's like, well, that would okay, that's like interesting. But I don't know. She just looks familiar. And I'm like, well, why does she look familiar to me? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? So anyway, I don't know. She's from Houston. Does she live in Houston now? I don't know. Probably not. Most people, a lot of young people just want to get out of. I think this is the case where if you don't live in LA or New York, you want to go to LA and New York, and it's like, okay, whatever. I think that's kind of silly, but that's people's prerogative these days. So, um, and she seems like maybe she wants to be famous or something. I don't know. And I think she was in some kind of show when she was younger. But I just get like familiar vibes from her. And same thing with Alexis Wilkins. But it could also be because I'm already thinking like, all right, last name Wilkins. Like I know people are there's something weird going on with people like seemingly breeding me without my permission. So I'm like, just what I'm on some kind of weird tip here where it's like, what is do I have kids that I don't know about? And then especially with this instance, it's like is that, are these even the people that are actually in charge of the government, or is it like, has the government been stolen away? I think Donald Trump is, and all the presidents have been uh, connected to that seven or eight headed beast thing. Um, oh, hold on. One of the reasons I brought her up is because I was like, when I looked up I noticed that in the web thing it has her as Kaylin Olivia. So I mean, Jesus, this website is so heavy for my computer. It's literally like freezing up. But anyway, so I guess it could be Olivia Munn or Olivia Culpo or Olivia Jade or Olivia Rodrigo or one of these famous Olivias, or maybe a different Olivia that I know um, in person from. Or something. But in any instance, I'm just like, is there something weird going? Like, I mean, I already think there's something weird going on, right? I've already explained that. But like, okay, what I was saying about I'm kind of jumping from place to place mentally. I don't plan on this being a public video on my YouTube, at least not currently. But so like, you know, I'm not saying when I'm talking about the seven-headed beast thing and like Trump being the final head, the fifth head, the final, and the fifth head, the seventh head, and then the Bible says the eighth head is the seventh head, and that would make sense of the term things that people are going through. And the fifth head, I mean the beast comes back out of the abyss, so that I think the idea is it had power, it lost power, or this head had power, lost power, and then tries to get power for an eighth, to be the eighth one as well, which would be the Trump third term thing, and which is the idea is being floated currently, or they've even introduced a bill in Congress or something. But anyway, I'm just like, I, I don't, I don't know. Oh, and the other thing about Alexis Wilkins here, hold on. So I was like, just kind of looking at like, well, what kind of music does she? I know she makes country music, right? But like, what kind of maybe I'll start following her on X. Uh, all right, I'll leave that for later. But um, or like here. Oh, never mind. I was gonna message Kaylin Wilkins and be like, "Am I your dad?" Uh, but my guess is that if people are watching me like I'm speculating people are, I don't really have to ask through Instagram. Uh, actions like that are more symbolic than anything. But anyway, it's it's strange to me. Oh, also, I guess I didn't recognize this is her most recent one. It's her most recent picture. Oh, it's Taylor Swift. Wow. Taylor Swift, the lady with all the snakes on her dress. Wow. The lady that puts out, wants to talk about people. Oh, BC Place. Wasn't there just an earthquake in Vancouver? Is this BC Place, Vancouver? Yeah, okay. Wasn't there just an earthquake in Vancouver today? Maybe that's connected to this, because Yahweh knows what's coming ahead of time. Um, but anyway, all right. Well, I'm just gonna like oh, so I have some ideas as to who she looks like. I've already brought up one with the whole Lucy's thing, but uh she's giving me like familiar vibes in the sense of like I feel like there's a woman that I know in real life that like I'm that like I this we look like that she looks like, that I know in real life, or I like maybe in one of my former neighbors or something, where she like looks familiar. So in any instance, um, I'll just look more into this over time. But this is the last thing I wanted to look at. So like Alexis Wilkins is like a musician. Like that's her. Well, I guess she does conservative stuff. But like, okay, here we'll go to her Apple Music because that'll make it easy. Um, so like I was looking at her kind of like music on whatever, and I noticed like her most recent EP. This is also the way electronic music works because you don't usually release. You release a lot of singles, and you release a lot of like EPs where you have more like smaller kind of pressings like this. But I'm working on and I guess I have been for over a year. So probably I was working on it when she released this. The Grit Dash C mix, and that's the idea of like there's a deep dubstep slash dubstep, maybe other types of electronic drum and bass and stuff here in Houston called Gritsy, and Gritsy, like, oh, that's a Gritsy type thing, but my thing is like Grit Dash C, like you get it, see, I got grit. Anyway, and then this is Alexis Wilkins. Grit, heaven is a Stetson, country back, love me, one of the guys, half is cowboy. I don't know, am I half cowboy? Maybe, I don't know. But I do live in Houston, Texas here, and I lived in Texas all my life. But there are some features on her face, and there's some features that don't look like mine. But she would have a mom too, so I think that's usually how people are exist. They have a mom and a dad. But I don't know. There's some other features like I don't. This picture doesn't. She doesn't look that familiar in this picture, but in certain other ones, it's just like literally the thing that got me like. The reason this was like I wanted to make a video afterwards, right? Was I was looking like before I saw anything like I'm saying about her name or anything like that, I'm looking at her and I'm like, why does she look like, first of all, why is she the only other person like framed in this picture? It's like she's I look at it as almost, and I've looked at things like this for a while, like, okay, if you have a powerful enough quantum computer that can crunch crazy level probabilities, and you have a powerful enough AI to like feed into those probabilities essentially, you could probably like guess someone's, like if you put it on one person and you were like lock this person in a mental box, it could probably do it, right? And like or like I don't know, help the mentalists and like people that are trying to fuck with me, like mentally kind of cage me, and like the whole not knowing that you have kids or that your kids are right in front of your face thing is like it's like a powerful tool, because it's like, well, do you know or do you not know? And it's like I think something's trying to figure out if I know, or something, actually I think something satanic is trying to say you don't know, and then I think the computer's trying to figure out whether that's reality or not. And I think I've shown to some degree that like I do have abilities to perceive that I probably don't just have like I might have them naturally, but they don't always seem natural. It seems like more supernatural, like perception. And it's also attached to this idea of wisdom from the book of Proverbs. Like perception is something to be like is super important, and it's something you should, if you have to like use all your gold and silver to buy perception, wisdom, and understanding and things like that, and knowledge, do that. You know what I mean? If you have to give all your like wisdom is worth more than gold. In other words, perception, wisdom is worth more than gold and silver and riches, well, like just physical wealth. But anyway, so I'm like, maybe it's the computer trying to like put this girl in front of my face, and if I don't know, it like compounds this. Like if I don't perceive it, it compounds the situation. But if I do perceive it, it is mentally stressful. But then the computer can see whether I can perceive it or not. And in any instance, when I saw her, there was just something like something was like, hey, she's like, so I don't know about important, but like she's familiar for whatever fucking reason. Like look her up. And it's not just, hey, she's attractive, right? It's like why is something telling me in my head to figure out who this girl is? And so when I go and look, and her name is Alexis Wilkins, it starts the whole kind of snowball into, let me look up other Wilkinses, and then I got to Kaelyn Wilkins. Though I do believe on my alt account, on my Instagram alt account, yo.da.ya, I do believe Kaelyn Wilkins is one of the people that I'm following. I'm following like 1,000 people, pretty much all celebrities and like, I don't know, celebrities, streamers, like actors, musicians, sports figures, stuff like that. Like just, I use it to like, I was at one point using it to try to keep up, but then it got like 1,000 people who are all posting every day. It's just too much. You can't really keep up on that account. Or I couldn't, but in any instance, okay, I'm going to end this here. Let me even see here. So this is I'm still on this, and it's like, all right, you got Dallas Fort Worth swearing in, and you got WFAA, which is also Dallas Fort Worth. It's just, this is Fox 4, and this is what, ABC. All right.
I do solemnly swear.
Like I said, I did live in Dallas for a while.
What a ride we have been. Oh man, this is effing crazy. I ask you the following: there will be but every time I look at every single one, this for all Americans. It's the full wrath.
Maybe even one of the things explicitly that got me like looking at her was like, there's something like, I see something in her jawline. Maybe, I mean, it's not just her jawline, but that was something that like stuck out to me.
All enemies warrant his.
But anyway, I mean, look. This was the other part of this that I was going to say, and maybe I already said it, but just because I think that the presidents themselves are part of this 7, 8-headed beast thing from the Book of Revelation, the beast from the sea, I don't know if that's also connected to, like, part of the beast from the sea in Revelation. Like in Daniel, there's explicitly 4 beasts, right? Whereas in Revelation, it basically just combines all of them into one beast. But there's still, I think the idea is there's still 4 beasts. It's just that, like, since they're all operating together in action, that, the writer, or the spirit, Yahweh's spirit just decided, like, it would make more sense to just lump them all together. And like, since they're all operating together to some degree anyway against Yahweh and Jesus, the people of God, and probably, if I'm the guy conquering at the 7 churches of Asia, me. And so like, I don't believe, like, I'm not gonna say that like every vestige of the, if that is connected to the United States government, right? I don't think that like every piece of the United States government or everybody in Trump or like, so what I'm saying, if it's every president from my birth to Trump, I'm not necessarily sure that that means everybody that's part of that even cabinet, or that Trump is like selected Kash Patel or this person to be in charge of, like Kash Patel, for example, the FBI, right? That those people are necessarily adversarial, right? Um, or that they're part of that beast, right? I think the beast maybe is explicitly, at least, I can say this: the heads of the beast are, I believe, are the presidents. Maybe it's popes since my parents have been born, or like, I don't know. But I like, I think that it makes the most sense to me with the presidents, because of this idea of um that the seventh head, and seemingly it's basically stating like it comes out of the abyss, and it once was but now is not, right? I think is how it describes it. And so I think the idea is that while these people are, like, while the presidents have their term, or they're like in power for that period of time, they are, and then when they're gone they are not. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? They will never be able to get the kind of power and authority. Like, if you're a president, once you're done being president, you will never have the same level of power and authority legally that you had during that time period. It's like, the idea of, like, you're a famous athlete or something, you will never, like, some people's legacies, like, are maybe not even as an athlete. Like, Michael Jordan was a good athlete, right? But he's really well known for his brand, and maybe that's like the big thing. But like, presidents don't have that, right? They are most powerful while they're, and they like legally have power while they're president, but outside of that, after that, they do not. Does that make sense? Like, they might have some power or some ability to, like, uh, suggest things and be like advisors or something, but they don't have direct legal authority in the way that they do as a president. And when we're going to this thing again, like, this is the idea that I'm talking about with the beast thing, where it's like, the beast you have seen once. So I think the idea that the beast once had power, right? And it's talking later on. This is where the beast is. 5 of them have already gone. One is here now. One is yet to come. Like I'm saying, I think we're already. This is the one who is here now, and now that he's here for a short while. I don't know whether a short while means just his term plays out, or he doesn't have his whole term, or it's not for eternity. Maybe his whole term does play out, but that's only 4 years, and then that's the end of this whole thing, right? I don't know. I don't know whether it's talking about, like, I've suggested the presidents. It could be popes since my parents were born. That being said, the reason I don't think it's that, and I think it's presidents, is that when you see that it says who once was and now is not, and yet he is yet to come up from the abyss only to go to his destruction, or it maybe says he once was and now is not yet is again, and it's like, well, what is this kind of riddle? And then, but that makes sense if it's like, well, he's the 5th president since I've been born, and then Joe Biden came in. Joe Biden was the 6th president, and Trump was stripped of his power. And again, they literally say, like, they were trying to impeach him and throw him into jail, but then something happens where he almost dies. And, like, again, I think it's so hard for me to believe that this dude from, like, I don't know how far away, with an AR-15 and a holographic or a red dot sight, where Grand Thumb and, like, certain other YouTubers are saying, first of all, it's a shitty, not even match quality AR-15, and it's like, at that distance, the sight picture is like, the sight literally covers Trump, or like whoever that you're looking at, whatever you're looking at that distance, the whole thing is covered, and you can't even tell what you just, like, you're kind of just guessing. You're like, well, let me put the whole thing over him because it's just not the right. It wasn't the right tool for the job. But anyway, it like as you know, some of those guys were saying, it's like if they were gonna do it, they would not use his like how he loaded it up, or I mean his loadout, like almost like Call of Duty. Is like he wouldn't. They wouldn't use that setup. They would make it more like a match grade setup. Especially if you're only going to get one chance. But the idea of the guy like somehow in that the bullet just struck the dude Trump's ear and then went out the other side and that's it. And then again, just another discrepancy is why would the Secret Service allow Trump to stand up and take like an iconic photo? It's almost like they use that as a photo op. It just doesn't seem like that part even seems more egregious of a fuck up if Trump had just gotten shot to allow him to stand back up and like pose for a picture essentially. It's like that is too risky because you don't know that there's not other shooters or whatever. So like anyway, my whole point with this is that none of the story makes sense to me. And yet after that point, everybody followed, like Trump's popularity spiked. That seems to be the thing that got him the presidency, in my opinion. Because prior to that, you know, he had the thing with Joe Biden. He might have beaten Joe Biden in a debate, but, you know, whatever. And then they brought in Kamala, and I don't think that was a good idea because it was too late in the thing if the Democrats wanted to win. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really like either of the candidates personally on either side. Or I don't like any... I don't think I've ever liked any of the candidates for president other than Barack Obama his first term, and even then, like my vote didn't get turned in. But like, you know, looking back on it, it's like I think all the presidents are part of this seven or eight headed beast thing, whatever it says here, and so my point with this again, I'm just gonna end this up here, is that like, you know, the reason I keep saying Trump is if 5 are gone, 1 is here now, and 1 is yet to come, and this one who's yet to come is this character, the one that it just says is the beast who once was and now is not. He is yet to come up, and so you know, you can match up what it's saying here, and the one who is yet to come up means that the 7th head is the beast. But if he once was, that means he prior to that was one of the heads, which is why Trump makes sense. Like the idea of this being presidents and Trump, and like, you know, my guess is that some kind of covert, like I've said, some kind of illegal covert action was used against me because I think it's because I actually represent the people. That's why the book in Revelation at the 7 churches of Asia, the idea of this group called the Nicolaitans is that there's some kind of rebellion using celebrities and elites a long time ago, and they've used really illegal, destructive, covert kind of rapey bullshit strikes to try to like put the people down. That's why they're called the destruction of the people or the victory over the people, the Nicolaitans, right? And so I think it would mean the victory over the people. But in any instance, maybe it means victory of the people. But this is what I'm suggesting is that whatever this 7-headed beast thing is, if it is the president's, they probably did something illegal directly, a direct action against me at some point, is my guess. And it would be something that if brought out in public, at least in the past, it would probably be like so scandalous it would be a problem. Now it would be a scandal, but it's like, I don't know, people, you know, I'm seeing people cheering on Hamas for murdering babies. You know what I mean? And while I don't agree that you should just bombard the Palestinian civil or the so-called Palestinians, the Philistines, so-called, who are just really Arabs from all the other countries around there, pretending to be this ancient people group that no longer exists. So in any instance, I don't agree with. I'm seeing people justify literally murder of children, of babies, for silly causes that mean absolutely fucking nothing in the long run. So I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like, people probably wouldn't give, like, it might be scandalous, but people would come up with some excuse why it's okay to do some illegal shit, and it's just like, even to their own detriment. And I'm seeing like Trump saying basically like Ukraine caused this war in Ukraine, which, like, even if there's corruption and people are stealing money, that's just not the case in actuality land. You know what I mean? Like, Putin caused the war in Ukraine. He's a belligerent, like, essentially dictator who's been in power for 25 years, who decided he wanted to try to take Ukraine. And I think he got talked up into doing so by his generals and whatever, and then they weren't as strong of an army as they thought they were going to be, and it's just been a stalemate for the past 2 years, and or 3 years at this point, right? I guess, yeah, 3 years. So in any instance, when I'm talking about the seven-headed beast thing, and I don't even have the. Just FYI, I forgot that you wouldn't be able to see it, but this is what I was doing, and I'm showing like the beast who once was, now is not, and is yet to come up, and then the is yet to come up clearly matches the seventh head from here, right? So the seventh head is the beast, right? But if the beast, if that seventh head once was, that means he's probably one of the others. But then it also explicitly says the eighth is one of the seven. And so, well, if that, it already says that one is at the same time the eighth, so the eighth and the seventh are already together. But then what it's saying is that the seventh, I think, was one of the previous ones. And so that's why this concept seems to match Trump being the fifth, the seventh, and the eighth. And my whole point is, like, I'm not sure that, like, hypothetically, this Alexis Wilkins girl is my daughter. And this is all very hypothetical, and, like, me, I guess I could just be a crazy guy on YouTube spitting random bullshit. If that's the case, like, I guess you're welcome to leave a discouraging comment. Who the fuck cares? If that's the case, if I'm just some crazy dude, like, when I see people leave comments that are, like, rude or disparaging, that seem like something's trying to get me to get angry or, like, whatever, it's just like, why would I give a fuck? I'm just gonna say something snarky back and block you from commenting. You know what I mean? So, like, if I'm just a crazy guy, don't worry about it. You probably have better things to do. If you don't, then who are you to judge me? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, why am I listening to you? I don't give a fuck. So, okay. So my whole point with this is, I don't know if Kash Patel's a bad guy. I don't know if that's my daughter or sister or something. I don't know. Because some of this is, I've also speculated, does Ray have kids? If I have kids I don't know about, does Ray have kids he doesn't know about, or he does, but it's, like, too embarrassing for him to bring up, or, I don't know. Did they do the same thing that I'm suggesting Alessandra Ambrosio has done to me, or whatever group of people has done to me? Did people do that to Ray? I don't know. But I'm just trying to, like, I'm just saying, like, here are some things. For the most part, Ray has a pretty distinctive nose. And, like, I can see it in my own nose, but, you'd have to, there's certain features of Ray's that would be too, my dad, that would be too, they would show through. I think it would be pretty obvious. You know what I mean? Like, I even speculated maybe in the last video, and I've thought this, like, I guess maybe Noah Ambrosio could be my brother or something. People are trying to really fuck with me like that. Like, maybe Anja Ambrosio's my daughter, but, like, Noah Ambrosio's my brother or something. But I don't. When I really look at it and, like, break down the situation, like, when I look at his nose, and then when I think about some of his other features, I'm like, no, I don't think that's the case. But I do think there could be, like, maybe I've thought, maybe is Trent Mazur my brother actually, or half brother or whatever? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, is Jamie Mazur? I mean, are Trent and Jamie? Like, I don't know. They could, if people are doing this shit to me, they could have been doing this to Ray for a long time, and I just, like, somehow, I'm Yoda and I figured it out. You know what I mean? And Yoda in Hebrew means, like, could mean, hypothetically, it could mean he who knows or one who knows. Yodea can, I guess. But in any instance, like, maybe I figured it out because I really am the guy from the end of Revelation who's conquering at the seven churches of Asia, and I have a direct link to Yahweh. And Yahweh, I mean, any Christian does have that direct link, but like, if I'm that guy, I think Satan would throw a lot of fucking evil shit at my way to try to fuck with me. And I think that's even the idea of this Jezebel character from Revelation 2:20 that I'm talking about, or of the synagogue of Satan, or of the Nicolaitans. Like, all those, or like, the Nicolaitans who are setting traps and who are, false apostles, and there's a synagogue of Satan, and there's a Jezebel character, and, like, and then by the end of it, I think you're done. Those are like the lower level bad guys, I think. And then by the time you get to the 6th and 7th church, you're actually dealing with the beast from the sea and the beast from the earth and Satan himself. So, I don't, like, this is me speculating. In America, I have a legal right to be a crazy motherfucker on YouTube as long as I'm not, like, a danger to society. You know what I mean? Like, I legally, in America. In Great Britain, I don't. You can get in trouble in Germany these days for insulting someone. And so that's even ties into this. I'm thankful to be here in Texas where I can just be a crazy motherfucker that, like, worst case scenario, I'm just a crazy motherfucker. I'm wrong about everything. And, like, oh well, I've thrown my life away for speculation that is wrong. However, if I'm not wrong, then, like, it is exactly what the book of Revelation is clearly fucking talking about. And, like, if you're watching the situation and you know that's happening, it's got to be pretty damn powerful that I'm, like, almost pulling shit out of the ether. You know what I mean? That I'm like, how did he figure this out? You know what I mean? Perception. I'm just going to say perception, like what it says in the Proverbs. So, Yahweh is real. That's how I figured this out. Jesus is real. Yahweh is real. Jesus is Yahweh. That's how. But, some of it is when you're trying to perceive, you might get things wrong. Okay. But okay. I'm coming up on about an hour, and I'm going to end this at exactly 1 hour. So I'm going to use this last 2 minutes to, like, I guess, any thoughts that come into my head. Like, I don't know, Kaelyn Wilkins kind of reminds me of Lucilda Ambrosio. Is that actually her mom, and she's Lucilda Ambrosio and my kid? Me and Lucilda Ambrosio's kid? Do I have a kid with Lucilda Ambrosio? Like, is Alessandra and Alina Ambrosio, do they have a brother or a sister, and it's my kid? Could be. If they're already doing shit like what I'm suggesting Alessandra and Aline have done, I don't put anything past them. Is Fernanda Mota actually their half sister or something? I've thought about that too. Could be. There's all sorts of, like, possibilities, and just like there's that character, and I feel a lot like that character in Captain America, Stearns or whatever. That, like, his superpower is that he can run probabilities. And then I was watching the pitch meeting thing, or the Screen Rant pitch meetings by Ryan or whatever his name is, and, like, he's like, yeah, his superpower is he's really good at probabilities, and it's like, so how does that work out most of the time? Is he right? And it's like, no, most of the time he's wrong. But and so, like, okay, so, like, probabilities, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing on a lot of things. But, okay, I'm going to end this here. I'll put it on my YouTube, probably leave it private until, I don't know, if I pull lightning from the sky, everything's going public. But at this point, me just kind of, like, triggering lightning strikes is still what's going on. So, or if the final earthquake from Revelation happens, I guess this will be part of history, is that, like, yeah, this YouTube had all this stuff on it, and, like, he basically, like Joel said, it's indistinguishable Like, trying to tell a super advanced AI, it would be indistinguishable from a crank at this point. So, I thought that was pretty true. As I told Joel, the fringe is the cutting edge of the knife, usually. Anyway. Alright, have a blessed one. I'll catch you next time. Later. Yeah.